Thank you all for joining us tonight. And we're so honored to be here and to have you to join in this new world and this new understanding of the NFT world. We're so honored to be partnering up for the first digital art forum in Saudi Arabia. And I'd like to thank the Ministry of Culture for supporting us, the Visual Arts Commission, and the Diriyah Biennale for hosting us. And I'd like to welcome onto the stage also my co-panelists. Everyone, if they can join us. Thank you all so much, and thank you for your patience. I think we have one person. Hi, Nicole. Hello. So Nicole wasn't able to join us tonight live, so she'll be joining us virtually. And I would like to introduce my co-panelists. We were actually talking about it. We're apparently in the world of crypto, it's very rare to have a whole female sort of crowd. So we're very so we're very privileged to have a predominantly female panel. I'd like to start with introducing Camilla, who's here with us tonight. We're very honored to have the whole ecosystem of the NFT world with us here. Camilla will be giving us some knowledge and insight on the technology behind the NFT world, crypto. Michael is my colleague from Sotheby's as well, and he'll be discussing the market and everything that you guys have been reading about in the news. We're very, very privileged to also have Ahad with us, a Saudi female artist, and who's also featured in the exhibition. And lastly, we have Nicole with us live, digitally, who's a collector and gallerist. So you're seeing all different facets of the world. And I'd like to pass over to to Camilla, who's going to introduce everything you guys have on your seat, the POAP, and she's going to give you guys a mini introduction about this.
Yes. So on your chairs, the QR code card is a POAP, which is a proof of attendance protocol. And it's sort of it's like your NFT ticket that if you download the app and scan the QR code, you can claim your ticket either by email and then later set up your own crypto wallet, which if you don't have one already, that'll be a fun thing to do later tonight. And then you will always have in your crypto wallet the attendance ticket, digital NFT ticket for being here this evening for the first ever digital art forum. Which is a really exciting sort of commencement.
So, it's funny. It's like when I was maybe in college, whenever I'd go to a concert, you'd keep your ticket stub and you'd put it on like your bulletin board, like you went to this concert. So this is like the new way of sort of keeping a historical moment, but digitally.
Exactly. And so quickly by introduction, so I've been working in the blockchain and cryptocurrency industry for about 5 years. And the last 2 years, obviously, we've seen an enormous amount of adoption and new entrants around the finance side, but also especially around the NFT and the art and the culture side. And I'm so happy that that's been the thing that has been the mainstream adoption, which we'll get into in much more detail tonight. And I've been working with the Sotheby's team over the last couple of months, helping to build out the Sotheby's metaverse. And building that platform and working with Michael and Sebastian and the Sotheby's team to really be the leaders in what is becoming sort of this new medium for art.
And Nicole, if you could kindly introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me. So my name is Nicole. I'm the founder and CEO of Vertical Crypto Art. We're a Web3 native curatorial media studio, which was founded by myself almost just over 2 years ago. And our focus has primarily been on digital art, NFT art, and blockchain-based art in a variety of different ways, whether it's through curation, online gallery, auctions, and more.
And Michael, if you could please also give yourself a brief introduction.
So I'm a contemporary art specialist. I'm working at Sotheby's for 6 years. I've been heading our contemporary art day sale in London. And now, since 2 years, I started actually to collect for me NFTs, and progressively I brought the NFTs to Sotheby's. And so now I'm the co-head of digital art sales. So I drive all the NFT sales. I have all the relationship with the collectors, all the actors in the ecosystem, and we work on driving the strategy long term for Sotheby's.
And last but not least, definitely, and thank you so much for flying all the way from London to join us. Ahad, if you can give a brief introduction about yourself.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me today. I'm very excited to talk about my NFT journey with everybody. So I'm an artist and practitioner based between London and Saudi. I'm currently pursuing my PhD in Fine Arts and Humanities, and my practice kind of focuses a lot on moving image and print.
Thank you all so much. And thank you all so much for joining us. So my first question, which I think a lot of us have this question, is what is an NFT? And I'm going to pass it on to you to give us like this brief introduction as to what is an NFT, because I'm sure everyone's just very curious to better understand what it means.
Well, there's a lot to be said about it. But I think without getting into too much detail, what blockchain technology allows you to do is create a digital thing with its own value and own uniqueness for sort of the first time. So we all have a lot of digital things in our lives. Your Instagram profile, your assets in your video game, whatever it is you might own digitally. But before blockchain technology, those were infinitely reproducible and almost impossible to tell which was the original and which was the copy and where was the provenance and how was it formed. But with blockchain technology, this open, distributed, public ledger, you are able to codify an asset that is digital for the first time. And it's both as simple as that and as sort of revolutionary as that. And so we'll get into a lot more of the applications of what that means for digital art and other digital items, but that's sort of what it is. And the non-fungible token technology, you can do so much with it. It can host an image, like a lot of what we've seen it be in the last 18 months. It can be a video game asset. It can be a currency. It can be a lot of things, and we can get into that a little bit as we get deeper into the discussion, but that's sort of the basic premise of it. And those items, as a result, you yourself can own. And so rather than Facebook owning your digital items within your
That's what makes it a bit revolutionary, this whole
Exactly.
element of you personally owning this NFT and the ability to sort of possess it.
to self-custody it.
Exactly.
And then you can take that anywhere into different platforms, into different things. And so that's the sort of simple definition of NFTs, and happy to chat more about that later.
I think over the course of the next 2 days, we'll explore this even more and we'll get a better understanding of NFTs. But this is, I think, a basic introduction, a very good way for us to start. And Nicole, I wanted to ask you, how did you pivot into this world of NFTs? And as a gallery, as a curator, what made you pivot to that, and how did it come about?
So my experience and my background was actually working for Instagram and Facebook. I worked for them for 5 years. And so I was working with creators pretty much before coming into the NFT space. So the transition into NFTs, actually looking back now, feels very akin to what I was doing before, but just in a different context. I got introduced to the NFT space and mostly digital art through an artist friend of mine who discovered Super Rare, which is one of the main kind of NFT marketplaces currently in the market. And this was like back in late 2019. And kind of slowly, I got into the rabbit hole, mostly initially through collecting. And then just realized that there was a very interesting kind of gap where no one or very few people were storytelling and curating the work that was being produced by many of these artists. And so that's how Vertical Crypto Art was born, with the idea to really elevate, storytell, and curate a lot of the work and the art that was being produced and is being produced by the artists.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I'm sure, as all of you have been seeing, there's been like an explosion. Everywhere in the news, you're reading about NFTs. The prices are going crazy. And we want to just get a better understanding. And Michael, if you could just Michael and Camilla, if you could just explain to us why this explosion, why now, what's happening, what's the impetus behind this explosion?
Yeah, I think when we look really at the innovation, it's a pure actually technological innovation using the blockchain technology that enables digital artists to sell and to market their work in the native state of the work. So basically, it's like digital artists, they create, if it's computer-based, a digital work, and they can sell it in the same format. And that's actually, it's a revolution, because digital art exists for decades. We mostly experience digital art like institutions, museums, like where it's very immersive experiences, etc. But it never really passed the frontier of the market and be very like easy for collectors actually to collect the digital art. So now that's why like we see a huge number of new artists coming up, but also like established digital artists, understanding that this is a tool they can use actually to make their art, to live from their art. And actually it changed like many artists' lives because they've been before working mainly with institutions, so they couldn't really sell their work. There are also some digital artists like Beeple. He was like an art director, he was creating some sets in concerts, etc. And now he can make some creations and sell it. So that's why like I think it's a huge revolution, and that's why there is this frenzy.
And I would add to that. And so I don't come from an art background. I come from sort of the tech side. And so NFT technology has been around for a long time, sort of since the invention of the token standard to do
So is it since the invention of the internet, or?
I would say since sort of blockchain. So we saw the first things being minted on the blockchain. The Ethereum blockchain launched, went live in 2016. And there were some early projects from sort of 2017, like CryptoPunks, that were using a new token standard on top of Ethereum to do so. And so when you fast forward to what the growth we've seen over the last 18 months, there's a lot of sort of larger macro cultural themes that have caused it as well. Everyone has spent the last 2 years online.
COVID definitely helped.
COVID definitely accelerated adoption by a long time. And you also saw a lot of the buyers of these NFT assets that we've seen over the last couple months are largely the crypto native crowd. And so it's people that have bought Ethereum or bought Bitcoin or bought cryptocurrencies a number of years ago that have seen the price of those assets rise enormously over the last 2 years because of COVID, because of concerns about inflation, investors looking for other asset classes. So the price of Ethereum, Bitcoin, all those other tokens have gone up a lot. And so you've had a new generation of wealth who've had their wealth creation in cryptocurrencies. And so when you've made all your money in crypto, you look around for ways to spend your crypto, and they're spending them on art, on luxury items, on things that are
You were
native to
mentioning
their
also
industry.
this thing about Gucci bags, which was interesting, that the actual, and if you would like to recall this anecdote.
Yeah, so I think it was in Roblox, but there was a digital Gucci handbag that was sold for 2 or 3 times more of the value than the physical handbag. And so when you think about why are people spending so much money on digital items, it's because if you own that digital Gucci handbag, everybody can see that you own it because the blockchain is transparent. So you can see that it's in that wallet, and that wallet is either attached to your name or to an anonymous profile. And so thousands of people on a daily basis in your online life can see that you have that asset. And so you get the social value from having that asset in a much more amplified way than if you have the physical handbag.
Which a lot of people can have.
That a lot of people can have, but maybe 50 people in a year see, oh, I love your Gucci handbag. Where online, thousands of people can see transparently that you have that thing. So what we've seen that I'm sure we can get into is people are using their avatar photos on Twitter and in their digital life as their NFT, as their CryptoPunkers, their Bored Ape, to sort of showcase in this online transparent way. Collectors kind of become galleries in and of themselves, so you can see what everyone owns. And so that wave is really sort of, the growth of NFTs has sort of coincided with the growth of crypto.
Nicole, if I can ask you to jump in here, what's your opinion on this explosion that's happened in the last 18 months, whether it is from a collector's perspective or a curator's perspective?
I think it was inevitable, really. As Camilla just mentioned and talked about the concept of digital ownership and how valuable that is currently. Like, we're also looking at, when we look at the collectors that are present in the moment, we're looking at a younger generation, and the younger generation values exactly what Camilla was talking about, which is really what you have in your digital wallet. If you look at the gaming industry and where that comes from, like, there's a lot of that industry that has transferred into NFTs, and this is all a much younger generation, even younger than me. And so obviously the concept of owning something digitally is is inevitable and just makes sense for them so much more than it is of owning a physical painting, of owning a physical handbag, of even, you know, almost like going out to like physical events. You know, if you think about the POAP that you all have in your chairs, like this is something that primarily started online. People would go to online events and they would scan the QR code, and there you have it. You have your proof of attendance for going to a metaverse concert or a metaverse auction. So the whole concept of being digitally native and more building your digital online persona and presence is ever more important.
Thank you so much. I want to ask you personally, when did you start your NFT practice and how was that triggered?
So I went into this kind of NFT world in 2018, and the journey really began with Bandar, Al-Wazin and Bawa Gallery. And prior to that, I heard a lot about NFTs and their impacts, but wasn't really, didn't have enough knowledge about the process of like going into it. And my work and my practice as a whole lends really well to that type of platform, and in a way, that type of kind of medium. And so what I decided to do was just to go for it and to learn through the process. And yeah, I made a lot of mistakes along the way, but yeah, gained a lot of experience as well. And also seeing the transition from then to now of like how NFTs are expanding and how the ecosystem, especially within the region as well, is expanding. Yeah.
Yeah, when we were standing outside, it was fascinating. I heard so many people who were coming in, whether it be from Dubai, whether it be from Bahrain, and we're so grateful that you guys made the trip over and to be here with us in Riyadh. And I wanted also, if you haven't had the opportunity, if you go to our exhibition in the back behind this, Ahad has her work, and if you could just like touch a bit upon this work, would be very interesting for everyone in the audience to hear about it.
Yeah, so the piece is called the Mirage, and it's part of a bigger kind of collection of works that I put up and minted. And the piece itself talks about a lot of the changes that we're experiencing as a nation, specifically the speed and the motion that exists within there. And I just thought I used a lot of kind of edited and appropriated a lot of kind of viral videos and added onto them my type of videos and tried to create a narrative around that. So even within that world, I added a little bit of kind of my culture, my background, something that's kind of old. So you see a lot of essence of like, you know, the stereotypical views of Saudi, like a camel, a man on a camel, the Saluki dog running, and different kind of motions and approaches to speed. So it's just a commentary on that kind of tension that exists within the space that I'm living in.
So we hear this word a lot, minting. What is minting? Like, I've heard this word minting. I don't know what is minting. So what does it mean to mint something?
Well, I'd love to hear your experience as an artist minting it, but to actually mint something, and actually the company that I represent is called Mojito, the sweetest way to mint. And so, thank you. Founded by marketers. And so the
excellent branding.
Thank you. So to mint something onto the blockchain is to sort of create the thing. And so what an NFT really is that it's an image that points to some metadata on the blockchain that intrinsically links them. And so by minting something, you're sort of binding it on chain, if you will. And that's sort of the genesis of it. And so whatever then that NFT goes on to do, go into different wallets, is traded, is sold, is moved around to different collections. Maybe it appears in vertical crypto art, McColl's collection. You can see the provenance and where the mint originated.
So that makes provenance impeccable.
Impeccable.
Flawless. Like you cannot switch anything in the provenance.
You can see exactly which wallet it went to. You might not know who those wallets belong to.
That might be anonymous.
The value of the anonymity, but that's also the transparency of the blockchain. But the actual process of minting as an artist, I'm sure you have your own experience.
Yeah, I mean, because it was my first time approaching it, I had like the help of Bandar. And it was interesting just to learn about mining and all these different terminologies. Just entering that kind of space and learning as you're going was honestly quite overwhelming at first. But as a process, it's quite simple. It's not that, difficult.
Yep.
So, Michael, a lot of the questions we were asked in the beginning was, what's the difference between like digital art and NFT art? Like, what sets it apart? and we've discussed this, you and I, how does NFT figure into the whole art history element? Because how is it a transition?
Yeah, I think like there is some crossover between NFT art, if we call it like this, and digital art. But like in NFTs, actually, it brought with it like some new movements that, like for example, the collectibles, like the CryptoPunk. There is one also in the exhibition. Like it's they're like the first like collectible project that really put the template for what it is like now, like all these 10,000 very unique characters that are minted. And each is unique and have a different combination of traits, making them some more rare than others. And then there is a sort of a market gamification, trying to to purchase the rarest, etc. And so because there are 10,000 of them, there is also thousands of buyers of the same project, which creates like a community, etc. That's one type of movement that has like its own audience, etc. Then you have what I would call like pop digital art. And then there is a lot of crossovers with the digital art that exists since the 60s and evolved through the
I think that's very interesting. What we talked about, remember in the office, like the 60s art, this conceptual art that people, remember you said one time you had someone who was buying a Sol Louis and just got a certificate, and then he asked you, where's my actual art? So
that like was Daniel Buren, actually.
Oh, sorry.
I sold, yeah, no, it's very funny, actually, like, because we used to sell just certificates, basically, like when we sell Daniel Buren is a conceptual artist.
Who was part of the Noor Riyadh exhibition. I don't know if you all remember seeing him. So Daniel Buren was also in Riyadh.
Yeah, and so like a few years ago, I sold the Daniel Buren, and it was a nice installation. And the buyer calls me 3 weeks after saying that he has well received the digital certificate, the physical certificate, which is a paper attesting that this work is, this is the work he purchased, etc. But he asked me, but where is the crate with the work, etc. But I said, no, this is like a conceptual work. You own the rights to to redo the work if you want yourself, like in your home, or not doing it. Anyway, you own the concept. And so he didn't know, actually, but like we used to sell like dematerialization of art. It's like something that exists in the 60s. It started with Yves Klein when Yves done a very like one of the most innovative exhibitions back in the 60s. He exhibited 8 voids. So basically, in the gallery, you could see there were nothing to see. It was a pure concept of exhibiting nothing. And he was selling 8 certificates for the 8 voids that he sold for the price of the value of the gold at that time. So it's just like a narrative to bring about the concept. And so this like concept of having the dematerialization of art, it's not new at all. And so what's very interesting also, it's from our traditional collectors buying conceptual art. It was more easy for them to understand actually the concept of NFTs. And they really, like early on, they understand that, okay, we don't mind like not having a physical work. Like what's important is like that you can claim being the owner, you can still sell it, you can still make a profit out of it, etc. And so that's one part of the art, yeah.
And if I may add, it's something that's really interesting, which we'll hear more about tomorrow with Anne Spalter, who's one of the most knowledgeable digital art collectors since sort of the 90s. But there's sort of an aspect to NFT technology that is just a new medium, just allowing digital art to finally have its sort of that provenance, that scarcity, that value that was harder to do with the internet as we know it today. And then there's using all parts of the medium of NFT art to really do more things once it's sort of in this blockchain world. And so it's almost impossible to separate what we know of today as NFT art from the community aspect, because for some of these PFP projects, as they're called, or avatar projects, like the 10,000 CryptoPunks or Bored Apes or what Cool Cats or Invisible Friends or whatever it may be, is that by having that thing in your wallet, you then get access to things in a digital realm. And you can't really do that with art today. And so by owning that thing, you then become part of an exclusive community where you can chat with other owners that also own a CryptoPunk. And so it would be like entering into a private chat room of everyone around the world that also owned a Rothko. And again, you could preserve anonymity. You wouldn't have to know that it's Bill Gates. But you can chat about the things that you enjoy and the things that you like. And then, so having an NFT, it's just sort of the first step. And then what you can do with that asset in a digital world the possibilities are endless, and we're really just seeing the first manifestations of them, like in digital worlds like the metaverse or like Decentraland, and how you can then use these natively digital assets and do more things with them. Access to in-person events, access to digital things, games, gamifying them. So it's sort of a really fun aspect where it's both a new medium and completely creating sort of a new environment as well.
So, Nicole, I want to ask you, since this is a very interesting topic, so do you think, and maybe excuse my ignorance, is this something that's already happening? Are there art fairs that are digital art fairs, or like something akin to a digital art fair that's going to happen? Or we're here in a biennial, is there going to be a digital biennial? Are these things that we're going to be seeing in the future, or are these things that are happening right now?
Definitely. I mean, the last Art Basel that happened in Miami in December, there was Tezos, which is one of the, let's say, one of the prime kind of like blockchains which works on a proof of stake, that had a presence at the actual art fair, at the actual Art Basel, with like a fully curated digital art exhibition. The same we saw at Frieze. We were actually holding an exhibition at Frieze in LA just a couple of weeks ago, and we're just going to see more and more of it in all of these kind of moments and cultural art moments that happen throughout the year. It's, I think it kind of took a while, a bit, for the traditional like art market and space to recognize NFT art or digital art as being essentially an important art form. I think a lot of people initially thought it was going to go away in some way or form. It was a bubble, it was going to explode, and actually, obviously, we've seen that it's not. And we're going to be seeing definitely more and more presence of NFT-based and NFT native, whether it's like galleries and like other let's say ecosystems and communities at these traditional art fairs. I think actually there's a big presence of NFT related galleries at Art Dubai, which is happening pretty soon, I believe, in March.
It's next week. I think there's a big digital element to Art Dubai this year, which is very exciting.
And so exactly. So you see it already. There's actually a lot of like even smaller communities that have been involved in Art Dubai specifically, highlighting a lot of different artists, global artists from around the world, which I think is also like something that, you know, Camilla kind of talked about now, but it is really a global community. And I think that's one of the beauties of the NFT ecosystem as a whole, that it's not solely focused on London because essentially you have a gallery in London, or New York because you're in New York and you can visit a gallery in New York. Like, we're looking at a really global, borderless community with artists from around the world that honestly, it wouldn't have been possible without the actual technological innovation.
Thank you so much. That's excellent. I also wanted to touch upon what are the themes that we're seeing in digital art, crypto art. In your practice, is there something you're exploring specifically in crypto, in like the digital art, or what is it that you're focusing on when it comes to the NFT world or digital art?
I think specifically for me in my practice, I'm using it as another kind of platform to share and to kind of create dialogue. I'm not really limiting myself within kind of a certain system or seeing how there's movements like occurring, but there are movements that are happening within there. I think what's amazing about platforms such as these is how inclusive they are. So it does allow for artists like me to just experiment. It allows for other, you know, more like what you were speaking about, more interactive kind of modes of, you know, sharing. So yeah, I'm making, and if the work kind of fits that platforms, I'm minting them and placing them within those spaces. Yeah.
And I know you have, in the exhibition, we see different forms of art, because it's like we have sort of a survey, not retrospective.
Yes, no,
it is a retrospective.
It could be a retrospective because like it retraces kind of like, we could say, like the history of the NFT. It's a very short retrospective and a very short history as well, because it's a 7 years history, but still you will see like there is the very first NFT ever minted in the blockchain in 2014 by Kevin McCoy. So it's like on another blockchain, not on Ethereum, because back then it didn't exist, Ethereum. And when he created this NFT, he actually didn't say the word NFT, just like came up with this concept of having a digital file that becomes a like unique asset that people can transact, exchange each other, etc. And when he presented actually this work to in a conference, he sold it for $10 to someone, just to like showcase how he can transfer the ownership of a digital asset. And it was very experimental, but then we realized that it's maybe like probably the first NFT.
How much would it be now?
Minted. Sorry?
How much would the value be now for this?
We sold it in June for 1.5 million.
From $10?
Yes, but I think today it's worth more because the market since then also understood the importance of like historic NFTs, that like having an NFT from 2014 or from 2017 when there were like only maybe dozens of hundreds maximum that were minted and that have this timestamp 2017 compared to 2021, there is probably I don't know, but like hundreds of thousands or millions of NFTs in the blockchain with the same year timestamp. So, like, if we believe in this technology long term and in this medium, we like collectors understand that it's like having a timestamp from an early year, like 14, 16, 17, has a huge value in a long term vision. And so there is this first NFT, and then we unfold all the different movements we could see like in the NFT space. So I talked about pop digital art. There is also generative art, conceptual art, or smart contract art. For example, there is a work by the anonymous artist Pac. You will see it's a very like minimalist, a beautiful circle, but actually he has like preset, it's like coding basically on the smart contract. When he minted, he preset some configuration to the token that will affect over time the visual you see. So now you see like a beautiful circle full of colors, but over time actually it's getting smaller and smaller until becoming a single pixel. And the only way that it comes back to its like initial state if it's the owner sell it to someone else. So if there is a transaction on the blockchain, transferring the token from a wallet to another, and then it goes back. So it's conceptual art because he raised this question of ownership, like collectors who keep their work for themselves and don't let others enjoying it, etc. So it becomes then conceptual art. Yeah.
If I could just, I mean, it's amazing, and Pac is an incredible artist, but just that time perspective, you know, we're talking about the original NFTs from only a matter of years ago, and it feels like because the word NFT and the term and digital art has sort of entered the zeitgeist and the public understanding now, here we all are at this conference. As Nicole mentioned, there's, you know, Basel and Miami this year. All of the contemporary artists were like, has crypto taken over the world? They were just so visible. But when you actually look at the numbers of the participants and the active buyers in this industry, it's still incredibly small. I don't know if anyone in the room has collected NFTs, but the process to go through to, you know, buy crypto on Binance, transfer it to your MetaMask, go into OpenSea, find something you like, buy it, pay gas fees. It's still not largely usable to the long tail of people out there. And so I think that the total number of wallets, which doesn't necessarily mean people, because a lot of collectors have multiple wallets, but the total number of wallets that have interacted with NFTs of all time, I think, is around 3 million. And the monthly active wallets in the NFT space, depending on the month, because it comes and goes, is around 350 or 400,000 monthly active buyers.
But that's still a lot. Like
it's still a lot, but that's nothing. That's tiny to see how then it's entered the mainstream. Now, the price action on some of these buyers is obviously noticeable, but it's still so early from how much the technology has to go to evolve. And as you mentioned, your experience as an artist, getting stuff wrong sometimes, I like to call those tuition fees, because no one has a degree in this, and no one.
We're all learning.
We're all learning together,
learning.
And a lot of people that are in this industry, and I'm sure, as Nicole mentioned as well, are sort of self-taught, because there's great resources out there now to go educate yourself about this. But maybe the graduating university classes today, or maybe getting their degrees in digital art or NFT art, for the most part, it's incredibly new. And so it's a wonderful industry to access in if you come from art or from tech or from finance or somewhere else, because there's still so much needed on the building side, the
It's an
development
emergence
side.
of like 3 very distinct industries, finance, technology, and art, and all being married into sort of one.
Into culture.
and sort of becoming part of mainstream culture, which is very, very interesting. I wanted to also allow people to ask questions, because I'm sure there are a lot of questions. And I don't know if we have Ryan, if we have the mic for questions, because I know there are a lot of questions, and we're here to answer questions as best as we can and have a discussion as well. So we're going to get to you with a mic right now. So just 1 second.
Use my mic.
I think they're going to have a... Thank you. So I think we have the first question in the back here. One here. We'll take them all. We have time.
Hello. Yes, hi. My name is Adnan Al-Eid. I'm co-founder of XYZ Digital Art Gallery. We're currently based in Dubai. So I first want to take the opportunity of thanking you so much for taking this step and with the support of the Ministry of Culture to introduce such an exciting market to Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of interest, I believe, from what I'm seeing in Saudi today around this whole movement, but with it comes a lot of confusion. People are interested, they're aware, but they don't know how to actually enter that field. So my question is, and I've spoken briefly with May and Sebastian on that, how do you see, in your opinion and in your experience on that, to transform that awareness and knowledge into a sustainable market in Saudi Arabia? So given the initial support of Ministry of Culture, the high interest of the people here, how can we transform that into a reliable market for consumers, both locally and internationally, to experience it?
Well, I think, first of all, this digital art forum is a great platform. We're very keen, alongside the Ministry of Culture, the Visual Arts Commission, to have this transfer of knowledge, which I think is one of the principles of this digital art forum. And then I can hand over to Michael.
And I think every market starts by having first an audience that is educated, interested, in and this is exactly what we are doing. Like we are we are already very well positioned in the traditional art market. And we now since a year we are very active in the NFT space, and we while doing sales, actually we use also the sales to really educate as many people, like the wider audience, but our traditional clients, to NFTs and to the art behind. We always try really to focus on the art because this is our angle, even though there are some other segment will also sell at Sotheby's, sports, luxury, etc. But through the art, it's always easier actually to onboard new clients for the art because there is an interest, etc. So it's exactly what we are doing here today. It's a non-sale exhibition. It's purely to educate more people to it, and we have a huge we have a program over the year to really do as many as possible, some exhibition like this to educate more people. And I spend also some time with clients just getting them to set up their MetaMask, having their wallet, etc. It really takes time, but I think progressively we'll get to a moment where both the audience will be more aware on how to host and own an NFT, but at the same time the ecosystem will be a bit more user-friendly and a bit more detached to the crypto. I don't see there is two possibilities. I don't see everyone getting a Coinbase wallet, a MetaMask, and living with crypto every day, etc. I see more the other way around, where the ecosystem and some actors will come and you will actually act with the blockchain. You will own an NFT, etc. But you will actually not have the feeling of interacting with the blockchain. It will be seamless, and that's where I see this going. And this is what we've done with Sotheby's Metaverse. You have some artworks that are listed. You can purchase them with USD with your credit card, and we can host your wallet, we can host your NFT on Sotheby's Metaverse in your account, so you don't have to go through all this very crypto process.
Just to add on to that, I think as an artist, just seeing what's happening kind of from the ground up as well is quite impressive. There's platforms such as Nuqta, which is a marketplace that's opening up specifically for the region. and their role is to kind of educate and also, you know, allow space for regional artists, you know, to easily access kind of the NFT world. And also the collectors that exist, like the UAE NFT, by collecting, they're also educating people. They're doing different, you know, ways of like, through kind of also online social media, of informing people about like the things that are happening within the region, within the Arab world in general. So there's different platforms and things that are happening kind of from the ground up locally that are in support of this kind of platform.
And I would just remind everyone, like the local, that's so important to have people to talk to about it and meet in person, but the metaverse is borderless. And so people are interacting, working on projects together. Artists, buyers are from all parts of the world. And so once you do kind of understand the basics, get a little bit into this space, everyone's online. I don't know where some of the people I interact with on a daily basis are based, because your physical location is kind of irrelevant in this digital world, in what I'll call the like lowercase m metaverse, which is sort of the summation of all of our digital lives online, is sort of borderless.
Nicole, is there anything you'd like to add?
I think there's obviously like a lot of resources online that are helping and kind of like educating artists, but in general, just a global like ecosystem and how to get onboarded into Web3. I think it does, and in total fairness and in total transparency, it does take a bit of effort and education to be able to understand really like all of the technological nuances that are part of the NFT like ecosystem and space, whether you're an artist, whether you're a collector, or whether you're just an interested individual. But the community is very welcoming. I think Twitter is probably your best first step into the NFT community. So definitely getting like a Twitter profile and starting off from there is really a good way to, you know, embrace what is happening within the NFT community. The majority of NFTs are on Discord and Twitter. So both of those communities are great steps.
Thank you so much. We have another question over there. Sorry, we have one here, and then we're gonna go. Sorry, I did not see you. I apologize for that.
No problem. Hi, my name is Lulu Al-Hamoud. I'm an
Thank you
artist.
so much for joining us.
Thank you. And I sold my first NFT in 2021, and I was really surprised that two of my collectors in the physical world wanted to bid for my work. So my question is, does the establishment of the artist matter, like the name of the artist in the real world matter in the physical world? And I want to know who benefits the most from these auctions. Is it the platform? Is it the artist? And who's at risk also? Is it the platform? Is it the artist? I mean, I still have these questions. I mean, I'm so glad that I sold my NFT 4 times more than the price itself. But it's so good to know that there is this interest among the Saudis, which really surprised me.
I can take that if you want, Michael.
Nicole, and then I'll pass it on to Michael.
So I think actually I was asked this exact same question last week on a panel, and I responded exactly like this. The interesting concept around the NFT space is that because there's a lot of collectors that do come maybe from not like an art history background, the idea of who the artist is exactly, like are they famous in the real world, like where do they come from, is not as important as it is in the contemporary and like traditional art world bar market. I've actually seen personally like sales from established artists, let's say, in the real world, which have been much lower than sales from like NFT native artists. I think it's more around the connection with the art and the connection that the person, the individual, the collector has with your work, which, to be fair, is the idea of, you know, more of like a democratized art world or a more open art world, which is also the basis and the ethos of why crypto art and NFTs have been so, you know, fundamental and important, and why a lot of these artists were actually using this technology to as an outcome for their work. On the second question, I think one thing that has to be definitely like considered is that the percentage that most of platforms take from artists is around 15 to 20%, if not even less. There's a lot of like so-called open marketplaces that would take 2% or 5% of commission fee, and the rest is going directly to the artist. So really like the whole idea of blockchain and NFTs has like the ethos behind it is to go and benefit the artist, whether it's with primary sales and also with secondary sales. So the technology is there to directly benefit the artist itself.
So there's like an element of artist resale rights when it comes to
Exactly.
NFT.
Yeah, I think the whole technology actually really is like started to be very popular among the community of artists because it's really there to empower the artist. First, like the technology enable the artist to set up the artist resale rights directly on the contract. So every time there is a transaction, a secondary market transaction on chain, the artist receive a cut, if it's 5 or to 10%, directly in his wallet. This is something like we are like in the traditional art world we have, but just for European artists we have the artist resale right, but it's much lower in terms of price. It's also capped at like 12,000 or 14,000 max. Here, if like an artist sell his work for 5 million, he can, if it's 10% artist royalty, would receive like an important cut, and every time there is a sale, it's happening automatically. So this really puts like the artist not just on the primary market side where he gets like an important percentage of the sale of this work, but along the whole life of the work, he will continue to be rewarded for his work. So I think this is like a key element in rewarding the artist for his work, and also for the platform, it really depends the platform, because you have some platforms that really are like not curated. You have everything. Today there are like maybe millions of NFT listed on one of the main platform, OpenSea. If someone is looking to make a purchase and also to be guided in what is good to buy in these millions of NFTs and is not educated at all, or it's almost impossible actually to make the right decision. And that's like, it's quite interesting because the whole crypto culture is really like to try to cut the intermediary to etc. But at the end, it's about art, and expertise is super important in judging when it's about aesthetic or it's conceptual. And it's super important to guide always the client in what is interesting to buy or not. And this is like, when we look like, for example, at Sotheby's, we sold over the year, we sold for 100 million in total gross sales, but we sold just 120 NFTs. And like last year have been like booming in terms of market. We've probably seen like hundreds of thousands of sales and more. But we've sold like a tiny portion because we are super selective. We select like only the blue chip, and we know that in this frenzy where artists are maybe like creating like a lot, it's important to be even more selective.
I think someone there has the mic.
Yes, hi, this is Fahey. Question, where can we see the art? Now we read about it, we hear about it. We are astonished about the value and maybe the investment in this world, but where are NFTs presented today? I mean, you know, painting is in a gallery, it's in a house, it's in a museum, but where is NFT shown?
There is different way to enjoy the art, basically. Like there are some collectors who are very comfortable in just having the pleasure of knowing that you own the work. So basically you just have it in your wallet. And it's actually similar, like someone who would collect like a letter, like a manuscript of Napoleon. He will keep it like in his drawer. He wants to keep it safe, etc. And he has this pleasure of collecting an important item. It's quite the same dynamic. But then there is also like some collectors who are like very comfortable and interested in actually displaying their work on the metaverse. So they keep actually the same the same digitally native format of the work, and they create sometimes a gallery, or they and they display it in the metaverse. There are different platforms that enable to hang a work on the metaverse in a digital form, and to have like their friends or their community, and to communicate about it, and people go in the gallery and see the work. And other, like some also very important collectors, like really like hang the work at home. They have some digital display. I still think there is some improvement, and we should not undermine also the screen technology. It's like something that will evolve very fast now that there is a high demand for a proper display device for NFTs. So we can see, I would expect in the next year or two, a proper display device for people who want to hang the digital work at home.
Wow.
Hi.
Oh, wow. Okay, here.
Yes, I have a question. How can we protect the artwork from being minted multiple times by different users? How can we protect the authenticity of the artwork, that it's coming from the artist, not someone else who minted it?
Does that fall in technology? Would you...
Nicole, do you want that, or want me to take a stab at it?
How can you...
Go for it.
I would say, so the same laws as we know them today about IP rights and everything still apply. It's a new technology, but it doesn't circumvent what we know today to still be, you know, IP rights and IP laws. And there's some ongoing lawsuits, I think, with like a Birkin bag and Hermes, and someone minted one.
I actually saw that one. It was like, will Hermes be able to get the rights back of the Birkin bag on the metaverse?
There you go. And so, again, because of the transparency of blockchain, you will be able to very clearly see, and the artist will be able to declare, this is my wallet. So only artwork originating from this wallet address is from the artist and certified to be original and authentic. And it might be a little bit confusing at first for the buyer to know, but that's why it's important now, and those transparency tools are only getting better. But anything that's like, you know, you just right-click save the image and then mint it yourself, you'll be able to see quite clearly that that didn't come from the artist's original wallet, which is why provenance and transparency on blockchain is still very important.
Yeah, and also now if I can just add about, it's super important, the authentication in art, in our business, even in the traditional art. We have a process for each work in the traditional art, like a work by Picasso, by Fernand Léger, or by any artist. We have a process that is like a due diligence where we take all the steps we need to do, so we come to the conclusion that we know that it's authentic, and we followed all the steps, etc. And there are this same kind of step we can do with NFTs, and it's even quicker. It's in 2 clicks basically, because we can, like the smart contract address, it can't lie. You can click, verify that it's well the one of the artist. It's like the artist signature. And you can see then like that it's well, the NFT been well deployed by the artist wallet, and everything is online and accessible immediately, so it's even more efficient. Yeah.
I saw a lot of hands. Okay, so you have the mic here. Are there one mic? In new question?
Yeah, new question.
Okay, I think.
Okay.
Different guy, not the same guy.
No, sorry. With the mask, it's very confusing. I feel like I'm in an auction. I'm seeing so many hands, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, I love it. Microphone's with you.
Yeah, so NFTs solve a great issue of digital art, that digital artists couldn't sell their art. It's usually copied, just a JPEG or something. And also in gaming, I would understand that you would own an NFT asset in a certain game and you can have it forever and then give it to someone else. But what about projects such as Bored Ape Yacht Club, Invisible Friends, unique projects? So every day there's a new unique project. So wouldn't that create an issue of having to be very selective of the project that you need to invest in? What do you think of that?
Yes, I think yes. I think there can't be a great project going out every day, going out every week. Maybe once a month there can be like a great project that is like interesting to purchase, like if you want to have like a very selective collection. And yes, like with this frenzy on the creator side, there is like a lot of like project coming out with not sometimes much like a lot of innovation to the project. That's why I think it's important to understand that we are still like in a very early stage where everyone is a bit trying. Like there are some artists who have like 1 year career minting a work and selling for very high prices. I don't think this is like long-term viable. Like at some point we'll look back and we'll try to understand like how many years this artist has like making digital art, NFTs, and when also like museums at some point they will start to curate also the NFTs and the digital artists, and we can expect that they will be extremely selective, looking at the history of the artist, at the career, the process, the innovation, and it will bring some order also and some curation. This is what we try to do. It's not our role. We are not like museums or institutions. There is like a commercial purpose, of course, but like we talk to some museums and they really start to look at the space, but they are like in more observing phase because they know that it's going a bit everywhere and it needs curation, and at some point I think it will come and bring order.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, just quick to add, I would say you asked the question from the perspective of the buyer. How do you choose? I would say it depends on the goal of the buyer. I've certainly bought 10K PFP projects that I saw the community excitement about it and that it was going to be great, and I didn't personally particularly feel very attached to the art, but I minted it, and then because my only goal was maybe selling it on for more a week or two later. And so it just depends if your goal is financial gain or if your goal is collecting.
But it's the same in traditional art.
Exactly.
It's the same in traditional art. You see people who are buying emerging artists, speculating on them, and then selling them, and you see it's. I think it's the same process that you have in traditional art, but it's just a different world, and we're just adjusting to this different world. And I think you had something to say about this.
I was going to say something quite similar, just to like buy things that you enjoy, you know, that you love, that you relate to. And yeah, what you were saying in regards to what your target is through, you know, what your aim is as a collector. Yeah.
Okay, the hands. Who has the mic? So I have question in the back. I'm coming to you, don't worry, but I have question in the back.
Hello, my name is Ziad Al-Rogi. I'm an emerging architect/artist. Pardon me, I do not have that background in NFT market, but I have a theoretical question, and I would like to hear the reflection of each one of the presenters in here. So let's say that the NFT itself might have a tangible or physical attachment to something in real life. But could that work on the opposite? Let's say, can we mint a Mona Lisa or something? Would that be possible? Let's say archiving reasons or anything.
Archiving, yes. Then there is like, it's true, it's very interesting actually. Like, but we received some requests of collectors who have very important physical, like sometimes masterpieces, and they want to monetize with the NFT. Like they want to monetize basically their physical works, their important physical works, by minting an NFT without actually selling the physical work. So it's quite like a perfect combination, actually making some money without selling it. And I don't think like there is, like the NFT brings with it like a blockchain technology that is like a new tool, a new medium. And to me, like there is value when there is like either like a digitally native creation or a use of the new medium, like using like the blockchain technology to make some conceptual art or generative art. Of course, you can take a high-res of the Mona Lisa, mint it, you will have it like under not the artist's smart contract address, so it doesn't have really the value of being authentic. And so to me, it doesn't have any value. Even though like back in last March, when there were like a huge frenzy around NFTs, everything was selling as long as it has like an NFT related story. But today is like every the collectors are way more educated, and they have some requirements when purchasing like from a certain level.
But can I ask a question? For example, with the Genta sales that we had at Sotheby's, the Gerald Genta sales, which was a watchmaker, wasn't that sort of something of that? a takeaway from that?
That's way more complex actually, because yes, there've been some original sketches of some of the most important watches that have been minted in the blockchain, created an NFT, but also the NFT played a role of digital certificate. So basically, like to trace, like the same way you would have if you buy like an important bag, you would have a physical certificate. So, but here, like the certificate would be digital. So it had like a utility on top of
it's like two things in tandem.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have also some, like we have a sale actually next week in London where we have some NFT artists, NFTs that have been like known thanks to the NFT and their creation, like their digital creations, but who've been also before the NFT doing some physical work, some paintings, some sculptures, etc. And so we've done a 12 NFT section where there is like a sort of a diptych, one physical work and one NFT. And then like they've like both are really like a diptychs. There is the digital creation that helps understanding maybe sometimes the physical, and it's like an extension to their. They use both medium actually to make one work.
Nicole, do you want to jump in to say something, or am I?
No, I think they covered it all. I think there's obviously like different types of like NFT artists. I think one thing maybe we didn't mention or briefly mentioned is also like artists that are using the blockchain as a conceptual canvas. And there's a lot of artists that do this really well. Rhea Myers, Kevin McCoy, Simon Denny, Robert Alice, and they really, their work, like as Michael was saying before, is like the interaction of the blockchain, and what people do with the smart contract is the art. And that's almost like taking it to another level of like what blockchain-based art means. And this type of art is, I think, specifically very interesting and super relevant and native to the medium as well.
Thank you so much. So before everyone, there's someone who was you're raising your hand, so you have the mic. Perfect. Okay, take the mics with you. I think it's on.
Yeah. So thank you so much for this. My name is Abdullah Fazan. I'm the founder of the Entrepreneur Academy in Saudi Arabia. I have a huge following promoting, I have over 1 million followers trying to promote NFTs.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for, I hope you're posting about this. I hope you're hashtag everything.
It's all over the place.
It's all over the social media. I love
so this is huge for me, because every time I mention NFTs, it was always backfires. Abdullah, stop promoting scam. Abdullah, stop promoting scams. So this is really huge that this is happening in Riyadh. So my question is, I minted my first NFT, and it was the V Friends. It was for Gary V. I minted it for personal reason. It was because if I own the NFT, it will allow me to go to every conference that Gary V has. So basically, I have the value for this. So every time I have this NFT, and if you don't have this NFT, you cannot attend the conference. So this is where the value comes in. And all of a sudden, the price spiked up. So I was like, oh, that's nice. So I can attend the conference, and also I can resell it if I don't want to attend like the 2022, 2023, 2024. I think it's all over to 2026 or 2020. Yeah, I think so. So my question is, if I want to help the artist here in Saudi Arabia to go into NFTs, how can I help them seriously create a value for their art? So this is what Gary Vee did. He linked it with a conference, right? So he was like, okay, if you own my NFT, you can come to next year conference, the one after, and if you don't own it, you cannot come. So this is where the value came from. So if I want to know, how did the Bored Ape CryptoPunk created that value? So this is my question.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you for also posting about us. We love 1 million follower people, but keep posting. We're here for 2 more days. Don't forget us. Michael, I hand this over to you.
Yes, I think like there is also like in the market loves when it's the first time. So the CryptoPunk has this value because they were the first avatar project in 2017, and it became like an historic project. The Bored Apes, actually, it's very recent. It's like it was launched in April 2021, so less than 1 year ago. The minimum price today is around like 85, 90 ETH, so like around like $250,000. And it became one of the blue chip project, I think, because they are the first one who have like On top of the art, they have added some utility. So when you own the token, as you said, like you are part of a club, you have access to merchandising, you have access to a yacht where they do all a party, and the only way you can go is like by owning the token. You and also they introduced something that is very interesting. You own the IP rights. So we've seen, for example, like a very important iced tea brand in US buying the NFT to then use it. They were free to use it as in their packaging. So it has like some value when they start to use it as an advertising or in their for commercial purpose. And I think they were the first one to combine all these different utilities and aspects, trying to attach it to the token, creating a community, and they've upgraded a bit what the CryptoPunks did and put the new template for this kind of 10,000 avatar project that followed. And I think like for a new project to come up and be as successful as this one, etc., they will need to innovate. And I've seen last time, like there is one that is, I think, when you buy the token, you are also the owner of a golf member club. So, and you can decide on whether you want to buy this golf or not. Like there are like many things that can people can be super creative with. And I think like it's still super early, so not everything been done. And we'll see like new project, I think, innovating a lot.
Can I ask, as a part of the community in Saudi Arabia, have you found, is there a community of, like, how has your experience been as an artist?
Yes, there's 100% a community that exists because there's a lot of digital artists and that need platforms, and that, you know, these type of platforms are perfect for them. But I think just as kind of advice that I would give to kind of, I don't know, I feel like in general there's a lot of pressure on artists to kind of be successful and succeed, especially within these kind of new spaces and platforms. But I think you spoke a bit about innovation. It's just to kind of have fun with it, to realize that there's lots of possibilities and lots of ways you can experiment with the platform itself. And then just see where your work fits in, what your message is, and what you're trying to say, and how it works with the NFT world. Don't just, you know, place your work there just to place it. Just think through it, you know, analyze, and have fun in general.
I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Nicole, is there anything you'd like to add?
I think ultimately it all comes down to community, and that's true for like collectibles, and it's true for artists as well. So really it's about putting value into what you're doing and trying to find ways to engage like-minded people, whether it's artists, whether it's collectors, whether it's people that like Bored Apes or like the metaverse or whatever your project is about, and building that community. I think it's going to be maybe a bit more difficult to see projects like Bored Ape being and becoming Bored Ape now because of, you know, the expansion and the growth of the NFT ecosystem as a whole. But if you're talking about specific like single artists, it's just a matter of like doing the work that you are proud of, putting it on the blockchain, and then trying to engage with a wider community. And the wider community can be other artists themselves, because they can become your best friends and your best mentors in also sharing your art and making sure it's been seen by, you know, wider ecosystem.
Thank you. So I have one here and one in the back, and I'll come to you.
Good evening. I'm Abdallah Al-Saud, founder of Dreammaker Labs, Web3 development company. I'm a collector, a trader as well from 2019. We started collaborating with local Saudi artists. Abdullah Al-Fawzan, let's talk after this.
We love, this is like the aim ultimately of this forum. We want people to connect, we want people to talk, and we want people, this is a great opportunity for networking. This is exactly what happens when you go to an NFT conference, right?
That's why crypto conferences are so well attended.
That's
you
true.
actually chit-chat for the first time.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
No worries, no worries. I have a question about the education of security in the NFT market. A lot of collectors get their wallets wiped out, actually, from interacting with malicious smart contracts. Is there any plans in educating consumers about this problem?
Yeah, that's a great question, and happy to dive deeper into this because it gets sort of into the weeds at the technical level. But there's twofold. The education needs to be, I think, better and more proactive about how you can protect yourself online. And also, the technology is getting better. Right now, when you have your crypto wallet, your MetaMask wallet, which is the most popular one for Ethereum-based activity, and that includes your wallet for sort of the decentralized finance stuff you do and the NFTs you buy. And to keep everything in your crypto wallet, when you connect that wallet to a protocol, it's like letting someone into your house. And that protocol then can see all the contents of your wallet, and they aren't particularly secure when they're based online. And so there's links you can go to. You can have what's called a hardware wallet and keep your assets like offline, essentially. And there's things you can do to sort of check in advance the validity of the protocol that you're interacting with. So every time you connect your wallet, you should sort of think and be wary. And then there's the storage aspect of where is it. And I know, Michael, you've thought about this a lot recently. But I'd say the answer is there's the education piece, definitely. And then there's also the tech aspect of it that needs to get sort of better and more usable. And so there's identity solutions that people are exploring. So when you connect to a protocol, you don't have to let someone into your house. You can just connect and share a certain amount of information with them at any given time. But that's a great question. There's a lot to be aware of out there.
I think we can totally do a workshop on that.
Yeah,
next
that
time
alone.
around.
Yeah.
So I have time for 2 more questions, one in the back and one in the front, and then. So I have one in the back and one more in the front, and I'm sorry, I'm being called up for time. So in the back.
Hello. Yeah, hello.
Yes.
My name is Brahim Jomer. I would like, first of all, to thank you for your illustration and representation of what an NFT is. My question goes like this, because like for someone who is new to the NFT world, who is an amateur kind of, I'm kind of afraid to go in deep in the NFT world for someone who doesn't have that big of an audience as a public figure. So my question is, do you think, like from a creator point of view, do you think having a bigger audience to sell it to is more important than the quality of the digital art?
Nicole, do you want to take that?
It's a good question. I don't personally think so. I think the quality of art is, in my opinion, more important than the value of or whatever you're selling your work for. Obviously, we've seen examples, I think, in the NFT space of when that maybe hasn't happened, in total honesty. But again, like there is a piece to it which comes back to what I was saying before about community. Like sometimes you will see artists or creators who might not produce the best work in terms of like artistically like the best work, but actually have built a community and have built a presence and a persona of what they're trying to communicate within the space that is very strong. And so people will buy into that rather than just the work itself. Also, again, like going back to what I was saying before, there has been less context and like art historical context that has happened in the space up until now. I think now, like this year, we're going to be seeing many more curatorial efforts coming in, like Sotheby's and like many other also like traditional galleries that are now going to be doing NFTs. So I think things will probably change moving forward.
Thank you. I think I have time for with the glasses. Thank you.
My name is Firas Shahan. So basically, I've been really following on the NFT market since I think last year, August or October. So I'm I have a lot of background on like there's a lot of gaming NFTs and you have a lot of like fashion NFTs. And what I notice a lot about NFTs, there's a lot of like utilities. For example, as you said, like as you said, membership, getting into some exclusive clubs or like getting to know some exclusive members. But I'm very curious about NFT art in general because I don't know, I'm not an artist, but I look at things from an investment perspective. So I'm curious, like for Sotheby's, for example, when it comes to actually purchasing an NFT art, do you guys evaluate it like traditional art, or do you have a certain specific way where there's a certain return on that art when you actually resell that art again?
For NFTs, you mean?
Yes.
How we value
NFT,
NFTs?
yeah.
I think we know that there are like some like the aesthetic, the art, etc. is important, but we know that there are some other components, like you said, like if the token also grants the IP rights, if it allows like some, like it's the buyer enter a member club, like the utilities, etc. It's important components, and all together we kind of judge the quality, if it's like innovative, etc. But for us, because we are like very positioned like in the high end of the market, and like we do sell some works that already have like a organic secondary market happening already. So basically, like in our traditional art market, like we look at the like what our collectors are collecting in terms of NFTs and what they are looking at the moment, what are the trends, etc. And so we select, we bring into the market, like when it's the right moment, the NFTs based on what our pool of collectors are collecting or looking.
Thank you.
We don't have time for any more questions, but I want to thank everyone for coming here. And I want you all to please visit our exhibition that's in the back. And we're here tomorrow and after tomorrow, so we'd love for you to join us on the next 2 days. Please, please come and come prepared with a lot of questions. I'd like to thank my co-panelists. Nicole, thank you for joining us virtually. I would like to thank everyone on the back side of this, the Imagination team, the Amoudi team, and my colleagues from Sotheby's, Tim Murphy, who's been toiling away for a week putting this exhibition together. So please go, enjoy it, see it. It's super rare, it's super amazing. I know I've learned a lot, and I'm sure you have too, and I can't wait to learn more in the next 2 days. So thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.